Good evening, people of Earth, and welcome to the Fortean Slip. This is episode -2, The Path Less Traveled. Glad to those of you joining us live, or rather me, live. I tried, and tried to finish King Sorrow by Joe Hill before tonight's show. Didn't quite happen. Almost. I mean, like, almost. But I checked out the new show by the creator of Breaking Bad there, Vince Gilligan, I think his name is. Pluribus. Got the first 2 episodes in. That's pretty interesting. And I checked out the Frankenstein movie on Netflix. So, I'm not going to do the news tonight. I am still getting into the swing of doing this again. Trying to, set everything up. But, we will get back into doing the news. Oh, why is that starting again? Let's stop that. Jeez. I don't need that. Anyhow. Yeah, we'll try to get back into doing the news on a regular basis. This week with everything that I have going on. I didn't gather the news stories. I tried, kinda. But, I just figured I'd just run with it again. I wanted to talk about a few things that are going on. Otherwise, where things will go with the show. Yada, yada. So, yeah, I tried to finish King Sorrow by Joe Hill. For those of you who don't know, Joe Hill is the son of Stephen King. The actual name is Joe King. And I had come across his stuff back around, I think, 2020 or right before then. I read The Fireman was the first book of his that I read. Excuse me, I gotta blow my nose. But yeah, I read The Fireman. I loved that book. Reminded me very much of his father's stuff. But with its own twist. Like, it has its own, he has his own voice, but you can definitely tell he's his father's son as a writer. So I bought all of his books that he had at the time. I think I bought 4 of the books in a bundle. Strange Weather by itself. And I can't remember the other one anyway. Read through them all. Loved them all. I have about 5 or 4% left of King Sorrow to go. And it's by far my favorite book of his so far. It has everything that I want in it. Like, there's like action, intrigue, occult shit. So the premise of the book is as follows. There's these college kids. They go to this college in Maine, in this fictional town in Maine. I think it's called Rackham College. It's supposed to be a very well-to-do college. If I was gonna guess, I would say it's probably supposed to be Bowdoin. I haven't looked into that. So, they, one of the kids in the story, or young adults, I should say. Um, his name's Arthur. He works at the library at this college, and they have all kinds of very rare books locked away. And one of the books that is there at the time is a book by a guy named, I think his name is Enoch Crane, and it's bound in human flesh. And this book has all kinds of like ritual stuff in it, etc., etc. So this kid Arthur, his mother's in prison for the death of this guy. When she was younger, she had took part in this protest where they broke in somewhere. Anyway, this cop winds up dying or whatever. She stays while everybody else runs away to take care of this guy. Everything gets pinned on her. She goes to prison. She's like a model prisoner. And her son Arthur goes to see her all the time. He winds up running afoul of some people that are also going to see someone in that same prison. And they basically blackmail him to steal books from the library for them for money so that they can sell them for money, or they will make life for his mother miserable in prison. And then they come up with this idea to take the book by Enoch Crane. One of the people in the group, Colin, he's kind of versed in the occult because of his uncle who raised him. That they summon this dragon that's in the book. And hijinks and hilarity abound. I don't want to ruin the book for anybody. That's basically a good enough overall jumping off point for for anybody who wants to get into it. I highly recommend it. It's a great book. It's an awesome ride. It takes place over many, many years. It starts out in the 80s. Right now, I think it's in 2016. And it's been a wild ride. I've enjoyed it a lot. It isn't often that I pick up books and I'm just like completely enthralled with what I'm, I mean, I get into them, but it's very rare that you're just locked in. And this is one of those books where I was completely locked in. So if you enjoy a good horror tale, oh Jesus, excuse me, got some gas tonight. And it's not it's kind of more like a fantasy horror tale set in modern day. It's very well done. He in the beginning of the book, he says he wrote it because he took a class on Arthurian legends and I believe dragons in college, and that's where like the seed of the whole story started. And he wanted the the characters in the book to come off like the group in the sitcom Friends, like they were just friends that hung out all the time and had fun. And it does come off kind of like that until things go awry. But and any of his other books too. Joe Hill has just as far as I'm concerned, he's knocked it out of the park. Nosferatu was great. Horns, an amazing book. Heart-shaped box, really, really cool stories. I recommend them. His short stories are great. His novellas. So, um, as far as where I'm going with the show, like I was saying last week when I did the comeback show. Um, I do want to still do the paranormal stuff, the Fortean stuff. I still want to do the Fortean news. I'll still delve into those topics. I am going to talk about the things that I'm reading. Um, I'd like to. I read a lot of horror, fantasy, um, true crime. I have a true crime novel that I've been wanting to read, On the Farm, I think it's called. It's about the farm that they found in Canada with all the girls that had been killed. Um, I can't remember if that's the one that's near that road, that stretch of road that's infamous for that. But I want to read that one. I have read the BTK book, which was great, um, if you could call it great. It was well written. The subject matter, not that great. Um, if you know anything about the BTK killer, he was just not the greatest fella. Um, the things he did were pretty horrifying. Um, I do want to try to. I mean, I still want the show to be an uncensored show. I want to try not to uh, fall into censoring myself. Although there are some things I'm going to try to not talk about, or what baffles me now is that if you want to talk about certain crimes of the, I will say, SA variety, you have to use the word grape instead of the word you would use. So I find those things interesting, um, but I will try to fall within YouTube's guidelines um, for the things that I'm talking about. But I'm not going to try to censor myself. Um, I I'm just not looking to go down that road. Uh, However, um, like I said, I do still want to delve into stuff. I want to start doing the. I'm going to start up the bedtime stories to some degree again. I have one in the can. I haven't edited it. I redid the Bunny Man, um, and I just have to get some artwork for it and put the video together, edit down the audio, slap the video together, and pop it up. But I've been wanting to throw that up. I don't know why I've been sitting on it as long as I have. I could not explain that to you. I've had it done for months. So I can't explain why I haven't done that one. But anywho, um, I did check out the Apple TV show Pluribus. First two episodes. I think there's three episodes out. This, like I was saying, this is by the creator of Breaking Bad. I love the premise. I am definitely going to see where it goes. It hasn't kicked off in such a way that I'm like completely locked in with it, but I love the premise of it. If any of you want to try it out or check it out, I do not want to ruin it for you. so I will leave it just as it is. It Check out one of the trailers. They don't reveal that much. Um, it's a very very odd TV show that I have enjoyed. Um, but anywho, I gotta move that out of the fucking way. Um, what else have I been into? Oh yeah, the Frankenstein movie. I watched that the other night. I had watched it for the show. I did want to talk about that movie on this show. Um, the Guillermo del Toro vehicle, Frankenstein. I have never been a big Frankenstein guy. Never watched a ton of the movies. I think I may have seen one back in the day. I honestly couldn't remember or tell you. Um, I've heard that there's some good ones out there, um, but there's a lot of Frankenstein movies. I did read Dean Koontz Frankenstein series, which I will say I enjoyed. Although it kind of goes off the rails, kind of just meh. Um, I loved the idea of what Frankenstein was in those books. Uh, Kind of made it more of a supernatural character. Um, Gave him kind of these weird powers, but it worked for that series. Um, the new movie that is out is it's one of the most beautiful things I've seen in a while. It's a great story. I've never read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It is on my list of things to read. Um, Along with I've never read Dracula. Um, there's a bunch of the classics that I have that I want to plow through. But I've never read that book. I have heard that she wrote it kind of on it was kind of like a bet or a contest, a dare, or some shit like that, where she wrote this novel. Um, and pretty much everybody knows kind of what the basis of the story is. You know, uh, the the doctor is the fucking monster. Um, the creation is what it is. It's basically his child. This movie is a story about a father and a son and their very strange relationship, and it is told so well. It's told in two parts by way of the characters narrating their own tales. So it starts out with Victor Frankenstein out. They find him this ship trying to sail to the North Pole. Finds him out in the Arctic, and he is, just beaten down. Um, they take him back to their ship, and this thing comes and attacks their ship. They shoot it. It keeps coming. It just kills a couple of people, and I can't remember how they get rid of it. Oh yeah, they shoot the ice um, at that point, and of course it doesn't kill the thing. But anyway, um, so Victor tells his tale to the captain of this ship about how he created this thing. Um, and then the second half of the story is the creature tells his half of the tale. It's very, very well done. Like I said before, the way it's shot, um, the the look of the movie. I loved it. It was a very emotional movie. Um, as a dad myself, hearing these lines of dialogue that they had in the movie between them, it was really powerful. So if you like that sort of thing, I would highly recommend it. Um, it's just an absolutely great film. Um, but who do we got in the chat tonight? We've got old Farmer Fred, uh, Phil, good old Phil, Para Breakdown, Katie, good seeing Katie as always. I do not know who Grant Priest is. Hello. Greetings to you. Steve. I guess Shelly popped in. Haven't seen her in a hot minute. And Bad Gaming. I forget your real name, although I know it. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Les. And inhale, exhale. I do that all the time. All the time. But yeah, I do want to bring the like I said, the bedtime stories back. I don't know what the frequency of that will be. And that will be in the vein of the paranormal, urban legends, conspiracies, etc. I I definitely want to dive back into that. I I will definitely be using AI images for those videos, along with other images. I know that irritates some people, but I don't have an artist on tap to help me with that. So, um, at one point in time, and we did the reunion show to pay tribute to Fred. Believe it or not, there's and I don't know if I've how much of this I've said, but that man literally just did art for me whenever in the beginning, just threw art at me. I would ask him for something, I would have it. I would ask him to try things with me, he would just do it. It was crazy. But that's not there anymore. So unfortunately, now and the image that I had done for the show, the new cryptids playing poker, I actually paid for that out of pocket. There's a guy in the UK that did that. I'm not a huge fan of his politics, but he gets a little crazy about that stuff. Um, but I loved his images. Yeah, I tried to promote his stuff on the page, and I guess he kind of tried to block it or whatever. I don't know. So while I love the image that he did for me, I wouldn't be going down that road again. It was rather costly, if I'm being honest. Um, yes, Phil. Fred was an incredible person. Um, Passed away on Christmas Eve. It's rough. I do still talk to his widow, Desiree, um, who is fighting her own thing again right now. So, um, but she's doing well. I talk to her quite often. So, but yeah, the I will be using AI imagery in the new videos, because it's just easier. I can wrap it up pretty quick. And instead of using like stock imagery, I can do something that looks kind of cool. So, but I do want to talk, like I said, talk more about the books that I've been reading or have read, will be reading, along with all of these things. There's another thing I'd like to try. I don't know how well it'll work out. We shall see. I plugged in. I showed this to Steve recently. I plugged into AI to tell me back the story of the Patterson Gimlin footage or sighting, whatever you want to call it, as if done by Paul Harvey. When I was growing up, I hated listening to the station that my parents listened to on the radio, WPOR. It was a country station. I hated country. It was, to me, the lowest form of music. Now, as a 49-year-old man who's had time to look back on things, the music that they played on WPOR in those days was actually good country. So, but one of the things that they had on that radio program every day was Paul Harvey. And for those of you that do not know who Paul Harvey was the guy that told you the good news. And I'm not talking about the fucking New Testament. He gave you stories that kind of lifted your spirit. And I loved that. I loved his cadence. I loved the way that he presented his stories. Albeit with his lovely commercials. But hey, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? So I even though I hated this station that my parents listened to, I would love listening to Paul Harvey's rest of the story. And I would like to bring something like that to the show. I just haven't figured out how exactly I want to do it. But, Paul Harvey was never big on, there was no real production or anything. There was no music or, it was just his voice telling a story. And I recently listened to him speaking. It was, I can't remember what year it was that he gave this speech. And I was blown away by it, by, what he was saying, that, this medium that we have, this ability to talk to people, it's amazing. And he was absolutely right. The ability to express ideas and relay those to, people all over the world. It's really cool. And I respected that a lot. And like I said, he's a big part of my life. So I wanted to kind of pay homage to him in some way. With what I'm doing going forward. So I'm going to try to put something like that together for the end of the show. I think it would make a nice little addition. I don't know if he was the Charlie Kirk of his time. So debating kids on college campuses? I don't know. And yes, Fred, Paul Harvey could make an ad sound like a story. The man had a way about him. So, another thing I'd like to let everybody know. I don't know if I said this in the last episode. In January, I've already got my date set. January 12th, I am getting my teeth extracted. I'm getting a set of dentures. So I will be struggling to learn how to talk again. That'll be fun. And you'll all get to join me on that journey as we learn how to say our S's again without whistling. Be a great time. I remember when Steve got his. It was a joy. Probably less for Steve than it was for us. But yeah, I get the actual dentures next month, in almost exactly a month. I get them on the 18th of December, and then the 12th I get them. They extract them and then they shove them in my mouth same day. So it'll be a good time. Steve says he's still learning to speak coherently. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Um, and yes, Fred, it could be exciting. It'll be an interesting journey, I'm sure. I am absolutely sure of that. But I am only I'm getting a full denture up top, partial down bottom. So they're able to keep most of my teeth down bottom that are there. Lost quite a few of them. But they have to take one down there over here. And I get a partial for the downstairs and a full one upstairs. So we'll see how that works. I'm very hopeful. I've been tired of it for a while now. So it'll be good for me. Might be a struggle doing this stuff, but we'll see. We'll get through it. I would love to have some people on. I've already talked to Phil. Actually, Phil, within the next couple of weeks, if I can lock you down for a Saturday night to do the show with me. I'm going to go back and go over the Melissa Hovey case. It was the very first thing that brought us into this world of podcasting, me, Steve, and Matt, back when we started the show. So I would like to go back and revisit it, especially since we have some nice new information about it. When that came out, that's probably the thing that kind of lit the fire under my ass to start doing this again. I saw Phil had posted a video about where that image actually came from and that we finally had confirmation. Now, you got to understand something. Like I was telling you guys in the last show, when we would all get together late at night and sit in these hangouts and go over things, one of the big things that we sat and pondered and looked at and tried to figure out was that photo. For hours and hours, we would just look at it, try to figure out where it came from, trying to find something that matched it. Trying to decide if it was real. And the truth of the matter, which Phil and I already know you're in, Phil. We spoke about it. But the truth of the matter is, it's wild. The whole story's wild, if you ask me. Like, how this ever happened. How this person thought that she could copyright a photo that wasn't even hers. Somebody else's. From something else. and Phil could get dragged into I was baffled by the whole thing. And at the time, I was talking to Phil behind the scenes when this all went down, what happened to him. And, just not, it was a just total misuse of our legal and justice system. Complete. Because somebody had their fucking pride hurt. It reminds me in a lot of ways, and I think this is more abhorrent, these cases, but it reminds me of like people swatting people, sending SWAT teams to people's houses. It's the same type of it's a fucking petty shit that we've turned to. And I really wanted to go back and look at that with Phil again. I think it would be a good ride for everybody, to kind of start back where we started from. And, oof, what a time that was. What a time. Yes, Phil, loads of fun. Loads. But yeah, I'd love to get some other people on. I would love more than anything to actually have worthwhile discussions with people that I disagree with. He's passed now, but Dr. Meldrum, I had a lot of disagreements with the fella. And we had actually spoken at one point in time, and then we never spoke again. And I kind of regret that. I was young. I was kind of stupid. But it is what it is. I think he had a hard time taking a joke, but maybe I was wrong. I'm a bit different enough now to say maybe I was wrong. But yeah. Otherwise, like things that have been going on. We got a new cat. Black cat. Little bastard's crazy. And that was my idea. Yeah. Yeah. Probably going to regret that one someday. But we'll see. Who knows? But yeah, in the AI Lovecraft channel, I meant to talk about that as well. I'm going to get back to doing those stories again. I don't know how much I'm going to use the AI to create the stories. Or rather, play out things. I started doing a lot of solo role playing, which kind of seems very nerdy, and it fucking is. But I love it. It's basically storytelling in your head in a lot of ways, that you create randomly. And I totally lost my train of thought there, where I was going with that. Yeah. Love it when I do that. Oh, the stories, the AI stories. Using the solo role playing more as a structure for the stories rather than just having the AI spit out a story. I think it's a little bit more organic that way. I have a little bit more control. But more to the point, I want to focus with those on doing the, the classic authors. like Lovecraft, and I've already done a ton of his work on that channel. Um, One of the first ones I did was The Color Out of Space. I've done The Haunter of the Dark, uh, the Cats one. I can't remember the full name of that one. Uh, the Old Man something. I'd have to look them up. But anyway, there's a ton on there. But I want to do more of those, the cosmic horror authors, Sir Lord Dunsany, Clark Ashton Smith. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Robert Howard has a bunch of stuff. There are a ton of them that are all within the public domain that I can just read the stories. And I'd like to get back into doing that. Also doing some Edgar Allan Poe, some of the early stuff. Excuse me. I think it'd be good for me to get back into doing that. I was starting to build that channel. I really wanted to build that channel, and I basically ran out of time and had to go back to work. So at the beginning of this year, I was working for a company, which I'm not going to name, and I was let go rather abruptly after the new year, which was kind of stupid on their part, if you ask me, because they wound up paying me my Christmas bonus and then my vacation reset for the year. So they wound up having to pay me out my vacation when they let me go. But because of the way that they let me go, I was eligible for unemployment. And I did look for jobs. I could have taken a lot of very low paying jobs. And basically just collected unemployment and worked on that for months. And then I found the job that I'm working at now. Well, not this particular job, but I found a job somewhere at another part of the hotel. And ta-da. So, yeah, I want to get back into doing that. And I enjoy telling stories. I always enjoyed doing the bedtime stories, putting those together. Back when I started doing them years ago. Now, I can't believe it how long ago it was now. And they were very well received. So I would like to get back into doing those. I will put together that Bunny Man video. Like I said, I just have to edit down the audio, slap the video together, and ta-da! Away we go. But I want to do some experimental stuff with the show for a little while. It probably will take a bit for me to find my legs, and find a good structure. I was literally trying to figure out how I was going to structure the show tonight, throw down like an outline, but I was like, the way you're doing it tonight, you might as well just talk about this stuff rather than try to outline it for tonight. What I'd like to do is come up with, just a structure for the show, albeit a loose one. I always go off topic, or can sometimes tend to when I start talking about stuff. But at least if I have a structure in front of me, or up on the screen in front of me, I can follow that along and not deviate too much from it. Keep the course, because it helps to keep a good structure on the show. The way that we used to do the old show, with starting out the show with the news, or talking about what was going on with us, breaking into the news, going into the main topic of the show. Damn, I need a drink. And then wrapping up at the end. I'd like to add a little bit more to the way that the show runs. I think I am going to have the news at the top of the show. Start right out with it. So I wish I could get that old news bumper. Do you still have it, Phil? If you do, send it to me. Phil says he loved the bedtime stories. They put him to sleep. A lot of people said that. That my voice and my cadence for those. Oh, hey, bud, it's Stargazer. Missed you, man. Hey, missed you too. Yeah, they said that the tone of my voice and the cadence when I did the stories was really great for sleeping. So I'll probably try to put together a bunch of those, put together some long ones like I did on the AI Lovecraft channel, so that people who want to sit back and listen to 3 hours of me just rambling on bullshit, they can. It'd be a good time for them. Phil says he may still have that. Well, if you do, I liked that one more than the stock one that they have with YouTube. Katie and I were using it for the show. But yeah, I got to come up. I definitely got to come up with a nice structure for how I want to do the show. And like I said, have people on. If anybody, I know Phil is more than willing to come on. I actually would like to speak to some people that I don't agree with. I think it makes sense. If I'm talking to people I agree with all the time, it's an echo chamber. So I would like that. I don't know that I'll get that because of how things were in the past. But we'll see. We'll see how things go. I have talked to Steve about coming on it. Steve was actually supposed to be on the first show when I came back, but I decided against it. I was like, I'm just gonna run with it. But I'm sure Steve will come back on. I would lay money on it, and I haven't even asked him. But I'd be willing to bet that he'd come back on at some point. It's kind of an open field. I can do with it what I want. So I'd like to do that. Like I said on the last show, I need to do what I want to do to be happy with it. And I still want to talk to everybody every week and let everybody know what's going on and what I'm thinking about, what I'm delving into. But I have to do it my way. Because it doesn't work any other way for me. And it isn't that I didn't like cooperating with other people. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I said it the last episode. I had a ton of fun with Steve and Matt. A blast. But there were a lot of concessions made. So I just want to be able to talk about whatever it is. If I want to delve into the occult, so be it. I just don't want to have anything that fences me in or holds me back from where we go. Steve is good people. How do you know, Phil? How do you know? I question your judgment. I know Steve's a good person. Steve came to my wedding. So, Steve and Katie both. But yeah, where we go from here. It will still, I don't want anybody to think that it won't be a show about the unknown and the strange and the paranormal. It will. I love those topics. But like with the show that I did with Katie, I love true crime. If I come across something that I I find really interesting with that. I might go down that road for an episode or two. Who knows? Um, I've delved into a lot of these solo role playing games, which, like I said, very very nerdy. Um, I've checked out the Mythic system, uh, Four Against Darkness, D100 Dungeon, Five Leagues from the Borderlands. Uh, I haven't played all of them, but I read through a bunch of them. For anybody who likes those style of games, tabletop role playing games, uh, and you miss that, you miss the feel of rolling dice, having an adventure, and enjoying yourself in a game. I recommend it. If you can't find people to play with, it's a great way to sit down by yourself and do that. And you have to go with it. You really have to just go with the flow of it. You can't hold yourself back because you're telling the story as well as playing the game. So you're being the game master slash dungeon master and the player at the same time. So it is very interesting dynamic, and I love it. I've enjoyed it a lot. Currently playing a game, uh, Dungeons and Dragons Second Edition, which, by the way, is the only edition that I will ever use anymore. I will not. I will not change up to the fifth edition rules. Second edition is where it's at. Playing a game in the Forgotten Realms campaign setting that I've been having a lot of fun with. And I have played through D100 Dungeon a few times. That's a fun game. As you go, you create a dungeon that you're going through. You have a quest that you have to complete, like collect this many things, or kill this many of these things, or kill this many monsters, and then you get something for that if you complete that quest going through the dungeon. And everything's kind of color coded, and you have like encounter rooms and geographical rooms, which can also be encounter rooms. A lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing D100 Dungeon. So, those games, like I said, for somebody who is aching for that style of gameplay, again in their life, if they haven't had it in a while, or they have, but they, kind of miss it when they don't get to play, I highly recommend checking out that stuff. There's another solo one that I want to check out called Loner, which I like the idea of. I've looked into it quite a bit, and it's extremely cheap. I think you don't even have to pay for it. You can literally just grab it off of Drive-Thru RPG, but I don't feel comfortable doing that. I'd rather pay the guy at least a little something for it, because it's pay what you want. But I've checked out a few videos on that game, and that seems really cool. It seems like it's more prompt driven, where you roll and it gives you a prompt to go forward with. That gives you kind of where the story goes. And I liked how the feel of it, how it was put together. And I'd like to talk about that stuff too. Because it's been a lot of fun, and it's changed how I've looked at gaming. What you can do with things, and different board games that you can just solo play for fun. And they've actually made some solo games. I was talking with Richard earlier tonight that I want to pick up the game Final Girl. If you don't know what this game is, it's based on horror movies, and you buy the core box, which gives you everything you need to play the game, but you can't play the game with the core box. You have to buy a feature film, which is basically like the movie that you're going to play through. And then you pick from the characters, which are the final girls, to try to make it through the feature film. And this game looks pretty awesome. Let's see if I can show it to you guys real quick, because I've looked at it so much. It's right on my Amazon. Let's see if I can present or invite. Let's see. Share screen. Right there. Share. Boom. Yeah. So I've been looking at that one for a little bit, and I've been wanting to check it out. But that's the type of stuff that I've been really delving into. I am always going to be a fan of the true crime genre, as horrible as that sounds. I think Katie can attest to that, being a true crime fan herself. It's kind of a weird, twisted, sickening hobby that you just can't stop checking out, watching, reading about. It's kind of a deplorable hobby, but fun at the same time, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, Final Girl, for anybody who wanted to see what that was. Looks like it's fun. Um, the other thing that I'm doing pretty soon, I got kind of a creative spark for a while. I was doing some coloring. I stopped. I've been meaning to get back into doing that, but I earlier this year I bought a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles daily calendar. And years ago, when my son was real little, God, he must have been like 5 or 6. My mother had bought him a subscription, or a bunch of subscriptions, to these weird Marvel comic books. They weren't like the normal Marvel comic books. But he liked them. He enjoyed them. All good. But after he had gotten them all, I said, "Hey, buddy, you want to make a collage out of them?" And he was like, "Yeah." So we made this collage out of all of these Marvel comics that he had when he was a kid. About a year ago, or I can't remember how long ago, he's like, "Dad, you remember that collage that we made when I was a kid?" And I was like, "Yeah, that thing was awesome." He's like, "Yeah, I just found it in my closet." He's like, "I'm taking it up to Orono with me." So I thought that was kind of cool. But so this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle calendar, I'll show it to you. See if you guys can see this. Let's see if it'll show. I've been saving these every day that I rip one off. I save it, and at the end of the year, I'm going to cut them all up and make a collage. And he wants it. I think I might do 2 of them, because I definitely have enough for 2. But yeah, so I'm going to do that for him. So he has a new one to put up. I was like, "Would you like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one?" He's like, "Yeah, that'd be pretty badass." And I was showing him the artwork, because the artwork's all kind of cool stuff I like. And yeah, but I'm going to wrap up for tonight. Like I said, next week I will get into I'll have more of a rhythm. I've got to sit down. I've got 3 days off next week, so I'm only working 4 days this week. I'll put together more of a outlined format that makes sense for me with everything that I'm going to be doing. I am super glad to be doing the show again. I am very glad to see all of you here. Those of you who've come right back to it. the views on the shows have been okay. I'm not reaching for the stars or anything. I just wanted to have some fun and let you guys know what I've been up to. And there were a lot of people who were asking me to come back. There really were. One of the biggest proponents of this was Richard Allen. Asking me every time I talk to him, would you come back and do the Fortean slip? I would love that if you would. And yeah, because I enjoy it. And, while it might be different from what I did before, it's still me. It's not the same format. I don't, I set it up originally so that Steve was the straight man. We beat the shit out of him. That was the whole idea of the show in the beginning. Steve played a role. Granted, it was a role that he played already. Like, that's why I picked him. I asked him if he was okay with it. And he was fine with it. It got to a point, certain times we went a little too far. And it happens. You do something with people for so long, and after a while, you get animosity whether you want it or not. And sometimes it's unintentional. We used to fuck with Steve and he'd get pissed. There were certain times he'd get pissed. So, we'll see where she goes. That's the course for right now. I thought that would be a good way to start things out. Give you guys the first episode. I wanted to tell you how we got here. Granted, it was a little bit of a downer, but it was a story that needed to be told, in my opinion. I hope it came off well for everybody. I had the best of intentions in the way that I told it. And it's the truth from how I see it. It was a journey. What got me to doing that and doing this, it was a long time coming. I thought about things like this, like I said, the last episode, back from when I was a little kid. I used to listen to Dr. Demento on the radio with my uncle late at night. Things like that changed how I looked at radio. Like, radio could be fun. It didn't have to be this thing that you always heard. That was just this, I don't know, ever polished, ever perfect, hit the fucking post. You could just have some fun with radio and with talking to people. And this is what it became with the internet. And now it's not just me talking to you. You see me. I'm here. I share things with you. It's not just a medium where you just hear my voice anymore. I remember when I started doing the show, that's what I wanted to do. I was like, no, I'm not going to do video. Because I want it to just be like what radio was. Because I've always been a fan of that medium. And yeah, it changed. And I changed with it. As it changed. But that's how I wanted it to feel in the beginning. I wanted to feel like when you listened to the Fortean Slip, you were listening to a radio show. You weren't watching three guys on the screen. You were listening to three guys. And we had to tell it to you so that you could visualize it. Now I can show you Final Girl on the screen. So, but yeah, enough of that. I'll be back next Saturday. That's, I think, going to be the best night for me to do the show. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, everybody be good to one another. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Dore these days. As Jimmy's a fan of saying, Be good to your neighbors. Be good to your neighbors. See you next week, everybody.